The CAMACOP, then and now. Our country was hungry for freedom since the Spanish colonization from 1521 to 1898, and was completely disillusioned when the Philippines was handed over by the Spaniards to the Americans, another colonizer. While our freedom heroes continued to fight for freedom against the new intruder, God was orchestrating the entry of the gospel in the Philippines. God had other plans when He allowed the Philippines to be under the rule of the Americans. God wanted to bring the gospel to this land who struggles to free itself from its trespassers. The Christian and Missionary Alliance, founded by A.B. Simpson in 1887, was among the evangelical denominations who set their eyes on our country, along with other missionary societies and denominations. The Mission Committee Agreement was then created in June 11, 1901, an agreement to assign each denomination specific geographical assignments to carry out their ministries. The Christian and Missionary Alliance was assigned to one of the most difficult areas to minister, the Muslim and animism subjugated areas of Western Mindanao, including Davao, Zamboanga, Cotabato, and Sulu, which the Americans called the Moro Province of Western Mindanao. The first two attempts of CNMA to start the ministry to their assigned areas in 1901 was by sending Ellen White in Manila and a U.S. military, John A. McKee, who became the first missionary in the Moro Mindanao. Miss White soon married a man from another denomination, while the latter died of cholera in Cagayan de Oro. William Abel, a member of Piñal Mission, was a missionary in Zamboanga, later joined CNMA missionaries David and Hulda Land, who laid the foundation of CNMA work in Zamboanga, Basilan, Sulu, Siasi, and Tawi-Tawi. Gustav Carlson from Sweden also joined the team later. It was through Gustav Carlson that the first Protestant chapel on Tetuan, Zamboanga City was constructed. Inaugurated in December 25, 1904, it became the headquarters of CNMA. There stood today the Tetuan Alliance Evangelical Church. The headquarters became also the place where the Ebenezer School for Girls in 1911, and after 9 years established the Ebenezer School for Boys. Many responded to God's call for full-time ministry, as the work of the Lord flourished through the hard-working missionaries who would walk for miles just to preach the gospel. In 1926, both schools evolved into Ebenezer Bible Institute, and years later, it became what it is known today, Ebenezer Bible College and Seminary. Through this institution, the work of the Lord in Mindanao increased. As a result, churches were planted in Kidapawan, Matanao, Magsaysay, Marbel, and others. After World War II, Reverend Ralph E. Bressler gathered all the local workers for the first ever National Workers' Conference on February 7 to 9, 1947. There were 29 churches planted, but only 13 were fully organized and self-supporting. These 13 churches were then organized into what is known today as the Christian and Missionary Alliance Churches of the Philippines, or CAMACOP. In 1949, CAMACOP was registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, thus became a legal personality. It is headed by the National Board of Trustees, which consists of the CAMACOP President, CAMACOP Vice President, ordained ministers, and laymen. The first elected CAMACOP President was Reverend Jeremiah Tulaca, who served for the first 10 years of the new denomination. Reverend Florentino de Jesus Sr. was elected as the next president. Reverend Dulaca was re-elected again as CAMACOP president in 1960, though he served only for 2 years because he died of a heart attack on September 18, 1962. He was then succeeded by then Vice President Reverend Leodegario Madrigal. Reverend Madrigal himself continued to serve as president when he was elected into office. In 1966, Reverend Vicente Pada served as president of CAMACOP for 2 terms until 1972. In 1972, Reverend Leo Madrigal was re-elected again as president. During his tenure, the CAMACOP church population of 400 was doubled to 800 until Madrigal's term ended in 1978. In the General Assembly of 1978, Dr. Benjamin de Jesus was elected new president of the denomination. He was re-elected twice in 1981 and 1985. Dr. Valmike Apuzen was the next president in 1989 and served for 2 terms as he was re-elected in 1993. Dr. Rodrigo Tano became president in 1997 after Dr. Apuzen. Dr. Jose Dalino was elected as next president in 2001 until 2005. He was succeeded by then Vice President Reverend Reniel Joel Nebab in 2005, and he served for 2 more terms until 2013. In May 2013, Dr. Jose Dalino ran again for office and was elected to serve until 2017. In 1953, the Galbransons took the task to gather the flock and shepherd the Alliance Youth Fellowship members of Zamboanga City who migrated to Manila. Their work flourished in Manila, and by November 5, 1961, the first Alliance Church in Metro Manila was dedicated to the Lord and called the Capital City Alliance Church. Through CCAC, God flourished the work not only in Manila, but in Luzon and Palawan as well. As of today, CAMACOP has now 99 Alliance churches in Metro Manila and 234 local churches in the entire Luzon and Palawan. 68 years later, since CAMACOP was born out of the prayers, initiatives, and faithful ministries of the early missionaries and local workers, CAMACOP now has more than 2,700 churches, about 3,000 local workers and church planters, 54 units of national and international ministry workers, serving in 18 countries, had established 9 residential Bible institutions, 24 non-residential training centers, and an estimated total membership of 500,000 members. CAMACOP is divided into 6 regions, 24 districts, and 2 commissions throughout the Philippines. From a missions receiving country, we have become a missions sending organization to the following countries with the following pioneer missionaries: Indonesia, Reverend Carlos and Luz Cristobal; Thailand, Reverend Elizabeth Limare; Bolivia, Pastora Jasmine Feliciano; Palau, Pastora Anita del Rosario; Hong Kong, Pastora Lucila Jinko; Australia, Reverend Romy and Olive Santos; Paraguay, Reverend Filomeno Belen; Niger, Rowena Pamaran Mendez; Nigeria, Reverend Jonathan and Dorothy Labrador; Japan, Reverend Nemesio and Luz Barro; Nepal, Pastora Yolanda Alido; Cambodia, Pastora Emily Beboso. East Asia, Pastor William and Hazel Sabilio. South Africa, Miss Lorena Cardenas. Papua New Guinea, Mr. Victor and Ana Opungu. Dubai, Miss Meryl Liboon. Mongolia, Reverend Richelle and Melody Maraat. Poland, Reverend Edmond and Adelaida Napila. Central Asia, Mr. Diosdado and Kimberly Mercado. Laos, Miss Jane Porle. Onward, we continue to commit to the mission and commission of Christ to every church, every worker, and every member, to fully support CAMACOP's flagship program, that is, to empower the local churches in order to transform communities. Embodied in our slogan, Empowered Churches Transform Communities. May the Lord empower and use each of us to realize our vision and mission as a denomination. Soli Deo Gloria. Glory to God alone.